Although we could probably get her advice when we do the changeover.
Yeah, we might.
Because she probably has some good
Absolutely,
thoughts.
Yeah, no.
The marketing wizard that she is.
Yeah. How are we doing?
Okay, we
so time frame
should be live. You need to go away, Todd. I like you and all, but I don't
Now's not the time.
Nope, it's not.
Coffee chat time, people.
Coffee chat time. Cool.
That says we're good. Hit the opening title swish.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee Chat with David and Kylie Knight.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. Thanks for joining us here. If you're around or if you're one of those lurkers who we see pop in and never say hello, please do. And you can put the hashtag Hello Nights or hashtag Cup of Awesome.
That's right. It was named after Kylie because she has a cup of awesome.
Oh, you're funny.
And don't forget to, do the, not that one, that one.
That thing.
That thing. The like and the share.
Yes, please, appreciated.
Facebook algorithms have more people liking and sharing. Otherwise, nobody hears about this.
Right, and we're just talking to ourselves.
And if David and Kylie talk alone and nobody's around to hear, does it make a sound?
The deep thoughts from David.
Is that what that is?
Well,
it's a thought.
It's a thought of David.
And cool. I see Clark is joining us. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Clark.
Hope you're doing well. And be sure to let us know what you're drinking and where you're watching from today.
Oh, it's a little dark outside here. I think a storm is brewing outside.
Right outside.
Well.
And Michael Laws, good to see you, my friend.
Hi.
Welcome. Always a pleasure to have you on with us. So we have had, it's been 24 hours since we were on with these folks.
Yes, it has.
And
it's been great. We are loving this live every day with different guests every day. I love this.
Everybody bringing a new perspective and a new energy to what we're doing. So
exactly.
And I love really hearing about, one of the questions we tend to ask everybody is, what are the benefits you see coming out of this? And I love seeing that people are seeing benefits and are seeing positive emotions,
Nice to have some positive thoughts and all going on with all this.
All the sadness.
Sadness, yeah, exactly.
There's
right.
Sadness, but we have to keep it positive. We have to keep it, because without positivity, life is just no fun.
Yes.
So, Kylie and I had another virtual magic show last night.
Yeah.
With a local apartment community.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a blast. So essentially what we're doing is we're putting out it's a 20-minute pre-recorded show.
Yep.
And then we do a live Q&A afterwards with folks. And so we get to answer all their questions, except for, of course, how things are done. Because that defeats the purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. We're really enjoying it. And it's we're excited that with that show that we get to do some different magic than we don't normally get to do when we're on a big stage traveling around all over the place. So these are some things that really work in this situation that don't work anywhere else.
Yeah,
so
it's all stuff we really kind of designed to be shown on video and enjoyed in this fashion.
Exactly.
So, and we've got some other projects in the works that we should be talking about soon.
Yes.
But I know you guys aren't here to hear us yammer about
Hi,
our
Teresa.
Night. Oh, good to see you. We mentioned that we have an amazing guest today.
Yeah.
A very dear friend. And she has some, when we started deciding we wanted to do an everyday sort of thing, she was one of those ones that we said we have to get her on because her thoughts and her creativity are just so impressive that we have to share that with the world.
I know. She's just so busy, though. She's just so busy, so I'm just honored that she made some time for us today.
Yeah. So would you guys please join us in welcoming Cathy Hutchison to our little neck of the woods? And she unmuted herself, and look at that. Hi, Cathy.
Hey, David. Hey, Kylie. Hi, everybody else.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure. What do you guys want to talk about? This is coffee chat.
It is coffee chat.
So what are you drinking?
Oh, I didn't prep very well. I should have brought coffee, but I've already reached my quota today. So just water in a mason jar. Like, it really is water, I promise.
That's good.
I love that.
Well, you know, there's water in coffee too, so I'm just going to go with that.
8 cups of water a day.
Yeah. Well,
okay, that might be too much.
Well, good for you.
Well, yeah, thank you for joining us. We've known you for a long time. We've known you in a lot of different facets of relationship. And one of the things that we wanted to really kind of bring to light to folks, and we have talked about it in various forms here and in other places throughout the years, but is the concept of visual journaling. And that is something that you're very passionate about and you're amazing at.
Yeah.
But some people might not know what it is. So tell us about visual journaling and how you got involved with it.
Sure. Okay. So visual journaling is just a journal, whatever kind of journal that you have. But instead of just writing things longhand, you actually add some doodles and just some elements that make it a little more visually compelling. And the way that I came across visual journaling is it was about 15 years ago. So I still had kids in school. I had a really demanding job. And on this one particular day, I was at one of those conferences where all the people who had the big business books out that year were speaking. So that year, Jim Collins was speaking and Ron Heifetz and Candace Fitzpatrick. And I was sitting in this auditoria surrounded by people who were super inspired. And I felt nothing. I could not absorb one thing because I was already overwhelmed. I was already out of bandwidth. I was exhausted. And so at the break, I filed out of the auditorium with everybody else. And at the back of the room, there was a man standing in front of these big whiteboards who had captured the notes from the session, much like I showed you. So it was very, very similar to something like this. And I had total clarity. I could see which ideas went with which speakers, and everything snapped into place. And so I became obsessed, and I picked up just a little composition notebook from the drugstore and some crayons and a black pen and just started carrying it with me everywhere. And it turned out, first of all, and I couldn't draw anything. That's the super fun part it was really silly stick figures, but it didn't matter. It was about thinking on paper. It wasn't about art. If you do this for 15 years, I'll let you know that your art gets better. But it's not about that at all. It's about learning. Visual journaling is about learning to think on paper. And I've launched a little passion project called yourvisualjournal.com that if people are interested, it gives all kinds of instruction on that.
Yeah. Well, and you wrote a book on it, right?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I got the chance to go to one of your classes, and she's really fantastic about making you feel like even if you don't have great art skills, that you can still draw, you can do the stick figures, and you can get better. And it was fascinating to me to watch her mind work and kind of give you ideas of how to not only quickly get that information down, but to do it in a way that would spur the the neurons or whatever that helps you to think, remember things and process it all. So beautiful stuff.
So. Yeah, speed matters in visual journaling.
Yeah,
because you want to capture things and move on. You don't want to sit all day to make a page look perfect. Like, that is not the point.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, cool.
Very cool.
We'll be sure to put a link to that in the show notes after this is done.
Yes.
So you were also you're one of these. They talk about these people who are like futurists, like people who like, and that's just like where I visualize you in my head. Like you're like one of these people who like thinks way ahead and thinks way out of the box. And recently you were featured on a podcast where you discussed the concept of essentialism.
That's a great word.
It is a great word.
It's not my word. I'll tell you that's Greg McKeown's
Okay.
word. He wrote a book called Essentialism. But about 5 years ago, I got it. I think this really applies to people with creative personalities. Everybody has limited resources and limited bandwidth, and I'm talking mentally, emotionally, and none of us would ever write a check for $10,000 on an account that only has $100 in it, right? But we regularly overdraw our internal resources, our energy, our emotional capacity, our time capacity. Like we just blow right past that all the time. So one of the beautiful things about essentialism or minimalism, whatever you want to call it, it's really the disciplined pursuit of less. And it's about freeing up that bandwidth. So you can focus on the trivial many, as one management consultant from the 40s put it, or the essential few. And there's a couple of ways this helps our brain. So one is that our brains automate things. And we know this the best from if you've ever walked into a classroom or any kind of auditorium situation or a yoga class, whatever you walk into, you make a decision about where you're going to sit based on the parameters for that day. So based on which spots are available, based on where your friends are sitting, based on if you like the front or the back. And then every day after that, you always go back to that same spot, right? You never revisit that decision. And that makes sense. Our brains automate these things. It's like, remember when you were 16 and you first drove a car and you really had to think about every single thing. And now we drive places and it's so automated that sometimes we don't even know exactly how we got there. Right? So part of essentialism
that's a great
is
explanation.
revisiting those automated decisions. And one of the wonderful things about what's happening to us right now with shelter in place, which is at the time that this is being taped, filmed. What's the word for streamed? I don't know.
Yeah, streamed.
Oh no, I messed up all the words, right? Yeah. So right now is that the duration of this is long enough to make us notice our personal patterns and to break them and have to reevaluate them. So what are we going to keep and what are we going to let go of?
You're right. This is a great time to be thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like what really matters. The other way that that essentialism helps our brains is that we get decision fatigue. So we start every day. This is why if you're on a diet, you eat the cookies at night, right? Because you've said no to cookies all day long and you get to the end of the evening and your reservoir for decision making is really lower. It's low. Like that's it. You don't have any more. And stores work with this all the time. It's why all the impulse buys are right by the cash register because you've already made all the decisions about every little thing you were going to put in your carts. And then you get there and that's it. Your decision fatigue has struck and you are vulnerable. So you put
I know
whatever
parents just love that too when the kids are
seriously
grab.
Yeah. Kids, I don't think have decision fatigue. They just want all the things, right?
Well, that might be it.
That's true.
Or husbands.
I see that bus coming. Thanks, darling.
So anyway, so focusing on just a few essential things and minimizing what you're focused on, it helps with decision fatigue because you're not making those decisions over and over. A good place to do this is in our physical space. So one person I encountered, Courtney Carver, was diagnosed with MS. And Courtney started designing a life that she could live as her mobility was hampered. And one of the things that she did, because she started blogging about it, is something called Project 333, which is where you live with only 33 items in your closet. And so I'm like, oh, I don't know that I could actually do that, but I'll run that little experiment. And that was 5 years ago. And just by lowering the amount of decisions you have to make about what you wear every day, it has a way bigger impact than you would think it would have.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, didn't the Apple guy, Steve Jobs did that. He decided to wear the exact same outfit every single day so he could have more space for creativity.
Yes, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, there's been a lot written
of those
about
guys.
it. It's
a
super effective life hack.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
That's great, Cathy.
So, and you talked a little bit about how we can use some of these ideas, during this time. But I'm curious, how are you and your family handling the outbreak and the sheltering at home and all that sort of stuff?
So I feel like I have it really easy. I have a job that I can do from home. I have an office where I can close the door. And, I think about that a lot as I'm watching a lot of my counterparts, working from the kitchen table with kids and trying to manage homeschool. And, my husband has a job that serves small businesses. So, definitely income has been hit, but everything's okay. It's okay. And nobody that in our family has gotten COVID. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like I haven't had the same experience. I mean, some people are having a great experience. Like I think I told you right before we got on the call, I feel more rested than I felt in years because my responsibilities have really, shrunk. And, just getting that commute time back every day has been a really big win.
Yeah.
And my budget has been helped greatly by not eating out all the time because I don't cook really, but I've had to.
Yeah.
So I'm picking up new skills.
Good for
And
you.
but yeah, I feel like we're weathering it fine. We haven't been hit like many have been hit.
So glad to hear that. So glad to hear that. Ask the
So, what do you feel are some benefits we might see from this pandemic?
like in a global sense.
Sure. Gosh, my mind's exploding. There's so many cool things. So let's start out and work our way in. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So there is so much collaboration and creativity happening on everything. So from the big things that you would expect, and the labs and doctors and people pursuing vaccines and all of this coming together to solve this global problem, which is beautiful and wonderful. And there's all of these creative moments. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen John Krasinski's SGN, which is absolutely brilliant.
I'm such a big fan.
And so everybody from him, like it doesn't matter where in the world you are or what your role is, to, families coming together to do these funny musical pieces, or people singing on balconies in Italy. There's the human response to difficulty. So Michelangelo said art thrives on constraint and dies in freedom. So all of these new constraints that we have on us, we're responding in some of the most beautiful ways. So that's the big story. So let's get to the small, because all we can control, right, is us. And the challenges, because now we all have constraints put on us. I mean, we're all a little stir crazy, or you're like the mom working at the kitchen table from home, or somebody in your family has COVID and it's not going well, right? Like we all have this pressure and this response, and it forces us to break our usual routines, and it forces us to get off autopilot, and it forces us to respond in some way. And we have the opportunity to choose how we're going to respond. Are we going to respond with love and kindness? Or are we going to respond with stinginess and fear? And so that personal call is for every single person. And that is amazing.
See, that's why I wanted her on here.
We can hang up now. We're done.
Thanks for calling. Well, now we get to move into our fun segment that we call 5 Questions.
Okay. Wait, is there theme music for this?
There's just a little whooshy sound. Okay, cool. Music, don't we?
I think we
totally need theme music. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Tomorrow there will be theme music.
Wow, just like that. Cathy speaks. Things happen.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly. I can't say no to her.
All right. So, first question. Cathy, I know you're busy, but are you binge watching anything right now?
Oh, yeah. So we binge watched Picard, which was fantastic, and then just rolled right into Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, so good.
Nice.
Okay, so you seem pretty content with the job you have and the things you get to do. Michael, you can't hear me? Sorry, somebody just said they can't hear me. Check.
Really?
1 2 1 2. Hopefully you can hear me. You can hear me, right, Cathy?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
So you have a pretty good job. You seem pretty happy with it. But if you could add any other job in the world, what job would you have?
Sure. So if I could have any other job, I would have a job probably as a journalist, because I just want to talk to all the interesting people and capture what they say and share it with everybody. I think that'd be super fun.
Good answer.
Nice. Okay, what are you reading right now? Oh no.
So
That's a question.
Oh,
You skipped.
I skipped one. Well, what are you reading right now? We'll come back to another one.
I'm reading a book called The Perennial Psychology by Jonathan Cook. And it's a really deep dive on, basically we woke up one day and found ourselves on this planet with no instruction manual or rules or really knowing what was going on. And so it's a lot about psychology and philosophy and pieces that we've missed. It's interesting.
So light reading. That's good. That's good. So you said that the budget is being helped because you're at home and you're cooking. You get out of this thing, right? You're gonna get something to go. What's the to-go order you're getting? What's the one?
I miss Best Thai so much. Because it's right by my office, and I would eat there like once a week because it doesn't even matter. Like I don't even have a favorite meal. Everything on the menu is just fantastic.
Nice.
It's my favorite Thai place.
Great answer.
Very good. All right, Cathy, I can see this happening. They decide to make a movie of your life. Who plays you?
Oh, Reese Witherspoon, for sure. That's who I want playing.
Yes.
Love it. Oh, I can see that. Let's make that happen.
I think we need to call her.
Yes, love it.
Oh my
cool.
goodness. Well, Cathy, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You're such a thrill. You bring such a positivity and such an energy to everything you do. And
joyfulness.
It is joyfulness, yeah. And I was okay. Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot for just a moment. But you used to have like this really great phrase that was attached to you about the. You know what I'm talking about, right?
What crayons? So joyful wielder of crayons.
That was it.
Yeah.
Because when I first started visual journaling 15 years ago, I just grabbed a box of crayons because it was cheap and accessible. And then I put the crayons. Did you know that crayons will fit perfectly in a cigarette case? And it will keep them from getting broken when you throw them in your purse. And so I still carry around crayons almost all the time. I've upgraded to visual journaling with markers, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Such a pleasure.
And if people want to...
Yeah, check out yourvisualjournal.com, correct?
Yourvisualjournal.com. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really, guys, you should do that. Yeah, it's incredible.
It will change.
And there's so many ways you can use it. You can use it in prayer life, right?
Yep.
Prayer journaling and all as well.
I use it almost every week in some form or fashion. And the cool thing is you can adapt it to you. Like she teaches you great techniques to use, but then you adapt it to how you write, how you draw.
It is so fun to me to see how different, because everybody's different, right? It really becomes you. I mean, and is unique to you as your handwriting and your scribbles. Like it's really, really awesome. Love it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Cathy.
All right, well, thank you for your time. We'll see you next time.
Great to see you guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that was Cathy Hutchison, and I told you guys were going to love her. She's fantastic, isn't she?
She really is. So yeah, be sure to check that out and investigate this whole visual journaling thing and think about the essentialism.
Essentialism, I like that. And that's, actually that word is a lot, because she kind of compared it to like minimalism.
Yes.
And it's a little more interesting, I think, than minimalism, because the idea of minimalism feels like, you have to jettison things, whereas essentialism is about,
I think that's true. It's much more of a positive phrasing of it, isn't it?
I kind of dig that.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow we're going to have a good friend of ours, Jay Barbier. He is a youth pastor out of Tennessee, and he's going to be chatting with us, so we're excited about that. And any other thoughts you want to share with our fine folks?
Oh, this is great. I'm just loving this with all of our people. So, I just hope everyone has a great day. If you're coming on late, be sure to pop in a #HelloNights and let us know where you are. And if you got questions, pop them in either for us or for Cathy or one of our guests. Drop that in, and we'll make sure they get that question.
Yeah, and if you've got some ideas of people who you'd like to see us talk to, be sure to let us know that too. We're scheduling out more weeks because it looks like we're not going anywhere for a while.
Apparently, we're going to be home at least another week.
That's true. That's true. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Go enjoy your day, and we will see you tomorrow. At 10 a.m.
Bye.